Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really elegant framework called the 6 Ys of Physiology, which is based on some fantastic workshop notes from Nick Hodgson. If you really want to understand the true mechanical and even energetic requirements of optimal health, well, you're in the right place, because this is the perfect roadmap.
So, have you ever actually stopped to think about how our bodies manage to stay exactly the same while navigating a world that's just constantly changing? I mean, we all know the baseline is homeostasis, right? But maintaining that sort of stillness requires this massive, highly dynamic balancing act going on behind the scenes at all times.
Here's our blueprint for today. We'll be looking at 1. The core of health, 2. Movement and stretch, 3. Strength and structure, 4. The electric body, and finally, 5. When physiology fails. All right, let's jump right into section 1, the core of health, adaptability. As you can clearly see in this framework, adaptability is anchoring the absolute dead center. It's the hub. And radiating outward from it are the other 5 concepts: flexibility, pliability, renitency, tensegrity, and piezoelectricity. It's this entirely interconnected loop, and it pivots completely on that central hub of adaptability. Now, this is a really fascinating paradox. To maintain homeostasis, that perfectly stable internal environment we all need to survive, your body actually requires constant change. It's wild to think about, but you survive strictly because you adapt. No adaptation, no homeostasis. Moving outward from that core, we hit section 2, movement and stretch, flexibility and pliability. So our first outward pillar here is flexibility. This is basically the pure ability to move through an unrestricted range of motion. We're really just talking about the physical geometry here, whether that's a specific joint, an entire spinal region, or a major muscle group. And right next to that, our next pillar is pliability. You can think of pliability as the actual, literal elasticity of your tissue, like a rubber band. And it's definitely worth noting that as we get older, losing this elastic quality in our connective tissues acts as this sort of hidden second dimension of health loss. It runs right alongside reduced flexibility, but it's a completely different issue. The distinction between these two is absolutely vital to understand. Flexibility is just the geometry. It's the pure distance a joint can physically move. Pliability, on the other hand, is the tissue's physical elasticity. Basically, you need the space to move, sure, but you also need the elasticity to actually survive that movement without tearing anything. Okay, on to section 3, strength and structure, renitency and tensegrity. This brings us to a rather unique term, remetency. This was actually a foundational term used way back by the founder of chiropractic, D.D. Palmer, and he used it to define the intrinsic abilities of tissues to withstand stress and strain. Think of it as the literal limitations of matter. Your soft and hard tissues live on a daily knife edge between functioning normally and total failure. Renitency is simply that intrinsic, robust strength required to not break down under all that constant daily load. And that leads us perfectly into tensegrity. It's an architectural principle that essentially turns your body into a living, breathing suspension bridge. Your physical stability depends entirely on how compressive and tensile components pull against each other. You see this continuous tension holding our joints, our intervertebral discs, and our fascial planes perfectly suspended in 3-dimensional space. It's pretty amazing engineering. Now for section 4, and this is where things get truly next level: the electric body, piezoelectricity. So this is where the entire framework just gets incredible. Piezoelectricity means that putting mechanical stress on your physical tissues actually generates a literal electrical current. I mean, no way, right? Your body isn't just a basic system of mechanical pulleys. Your physical matter acts as an active, energetic generator. When your connective tissues undergo daily strain, they are generating these piezoelectric currents. But honestly, here is the absolute most amazing part of this whole thing. Our bony lattices actually use these electrical stimuli to reorganize their own physical shape. The physical stress writes the electrical code that actively rebuilds your bone. It's a total feedback loop. Finally, that brings us to section 5, when physiology fails, subluxation. So, what exactly happens when this beautifully intricate blueprint breaks down? Well, we see a massive domino effect, commonly known as subluxation. It usually starts with functional changes in the cranial spinal unit, which immediately leads to a loss of adaptability. With reduced flexibility and pliability, your resiliency fails. The tissues can no longer withstand the strain, your tensegrity collapses, and ultimately, this structural failure creates profound energetic and neurological dysfunction across the board.
Because remember, health isn't just the absence of pain. It is a highly active, fully electric state of constant adaptation. The 6 Ys really prove that to remain stable, you must be infinitely capable of change. So keeping all of this in mind and considering the extremely delicate balance of your own physiology, is your body currently adapting to our changing world, or is it silently breaking under the strain?